Hello and welcome to Volt Vehicles. This is my review on the Ado Air folding electric bike, a 9.6 amp hour 36 volt folding electric bike. There is the 250 watts of power combined with a belt drive and hydraulic brakes. A 16 kilo folding bike that is a pretty nimble commuter, but does have some shortcomings at the same time as well. I wanted to give you guys a rundown of this electric bike and what I think about this. So, when it comes to the battery, what have we got here? Well, 9.6 amp hour, 36 volt battery, pretty small battery, but when you're going to have a lightweight electric bike, the 16 kilos battery is probably one of the first cornerstones to be cut down on, because that weighs a ton. The battery is one of the heaviest, probably the heaviest part of an electric bike, depending on how big it is. So it's quite natural that this kind of lightweight type of folding bike is going to have a small battery. So I'm not too surprised that the battery is small. I think it is a decent size for what we're trying to achieve here with a lightweight folding electric bike. It is 36 volts. I would have liked them to have 48 volts because it's a bit more compatible. You see lots of higher voltage e-bikes. You see a lot of higher wattage e-bikes using 48 volt systems. And just generally speaking, I like 48 volts because it's just getting a bit more flexibility. But here it's not like a DIY bike, so you're not going to switch stuff with each other, but you get a bit more oomph in the higher voltage levels at least. But it's 36 volt, that's what it is. The battery is then seated in the seat tube here. You see the seat tube? That's the battery. So it is quite easy to remove. You just slide that out, slot that out, and it's also quite stealthy as well. I like that. I appreciate it that it's quite easy to remove and also slottable. So you quite easily can carry this. It's just a bit annoying maybe if you want to like carry the battery with you. You're going to have to also carry the seat with you. It's going to make the battery a little bit bulkier than otherwise would have needed to be. Personally, I would have liked it if maybe battery was somehow on the frame or here, which you could just dismount it. Maybe if it was somehow here, could have been here, that could have been an idea, but then you would have had limited movement of the seat post. So it is very elegant design. Only maybe is a bit of a downside that you have to always carry the seat with you. And then it can be charged when it's in the frame, so that's pretty cool. It's like everything is integrated, so to say. And these are then Samsung battery, so reliable battery sort of cells. That's important because both for safety and also longevity. So you got Samsung cells here. So that's pretty good. What kind of range can we expect here? Well, they claim that you can get 100 kilometer plus range. In reality, this is going to, in terms of tests based on YouTube videos, in terms of tests, this thing gives about, I would say, 40-50 kilometer range. So it's still actually pretty good range, and I think it goes a lot to the fact that this is a low weight electric bike and only 16 kilos. But it is the real world range is going to be significantly shorter than what they advertise of like 100 kilometers. I think that's way too crazy, expecting that for a 9.6 amp hour 36 volt battery. I mean, my 52 volt 21 amp hour battery gets at best 60 kilometers, maybe even 40 at best, depending on the weather. So I mean, I don't know what they're talking about here. With a tiny guy or girl with no wind on a completely flat tarmac paved, maybe in the lowest assist settings, perhaps. Okay, so what have we got in terms of the pedal assist? This is something that is very unique with this bike. Well, not very unique, but it is relatively unique. It's got torque sensing pedal assist, and that means that it detects how hard you're pedaling, and depending on that, it gives you that amount of power. Some people maybe won't like this. Some people would perhaps like this because torque sensing is good in that you are a bit more efficient in terms of your range, because it requires you to have to press a certain amount to be able to get max assist. So you're not going to be ghost pedaling the same way you do on other electric bikes here. Some people might like this because it feels like you're in more control. I like it because it makes me feel like I'm in very much control. I can really easily regulate the speed of my bike without even having to press any buttons. I just alter the amount that I'm pedaling. But some people maybe don't like this as well, because I do understand the appreciation of being able to want to ghost pedal sometimes when you're just tired. So if people want to work out, if people want to put a little bit of effort into it, but also get a little bit extra range, this is something for you. And just in general, torque sensing requires a bit more advanced technology than compared to cadence sensing. So it is a sort of quote-unquote upgrade, but it's also a bit of a subjective upgrade depending on who you are. So we've got at least a torque sensing going on here. So that's quite advanced for a little bike. So we've got another plus in a way, that they managed to cram a torque sensor here. When it comes to the motor brand, it's about an unbranded motor, and it's not any particular brand like Bafang or Shimano or anything like that. So perhaps less reliable, but at least it's good knowing that it's a torque sensing motor, so perhaps it's a little bit more advanced than your regular kind of cheap hub motor. But it would be nice that you say you got Samsung cells here, then to slap in a branded motor as well, for increased reliability. When it comes to then the watts here, well, this is a 250 watt motor, so not a very high power, but also good because it's legal in all European countries. You can get an international version, as you can see here, with a 350 watt, but otherwise the 250 watt is quite cool to option to have if you want to go fully legal in the European countries. Then when it comes to the motor, hub motor, and this is good in the way that you don't have to think about your gearing, because this has no gears for the simplicity, but you maybe don't have as much hill climbing capabilities as, say, a mid-drive motor. But I think in general you will have pretty good hill climbing capabilities because of the small wheels, because it's going to just, generally speaking, make the gearing of this hub motor be pretty low. So it's cool. I appreciate that they've done this for simplicity, so you don't have to think about gears or anything like that, because we're going already with a lightweight bike. Gears are just going to add on to the weight here. What kind of bike components have we got here? Well, we've got hydraulic disc brakes. Good. The hydraulic disc brakes are very powerful, more powerful than the mechanical ones. The actual brand of the hydraulic brakes is an unbranded brake here, but it seems like it's almost identical, like a copy of the Tektro hydraulic disc brakes. But it would have been nice if we had like Shimano brakes or something that had a bit more known brand here. That would have been cool to see. But it is hydraulic brakes, probably going to work fine, and you'll have some good stopping power here. Just I would prefer to have a branded one. Downside of having the hydraulic brakes is if something breaks, well, then it's going to be very hard to fix it unless you've got specialized tools, which can be acquired online for not too much of a price. But for average people, probably they're not going to be wanting to mess with the hydraulic brake fluid. You can learn that from just doing a few YouTube videos though, but if you were to have mechanical disc brakes, it would have been good in terms of maintenance and reliability. The hydraulic brakes maybe are more reliable but less maintenance friendly than the mechanical disc brakes. So I think it's nice that they added the hydraulic disc brakes, better stopping power and less maintenance required. But if something does go wrong, it is going to require a bit more maintenance than the mechanical counterparts. Just something to think about here. When it comes to the drivetrain, well, we've got no gears. We've got one gear, and in some way, I would have liked to have a little tiny mid motor here, and then have some internal hub on the back. That would have been really nice, but it would have also been quite heavy as well, because then you got the motor plus the gear hub or gears. So we are saving weight here, so that's good. We've got the belt drive. The belt drive is pretty cool because that's both when you're folding this up, taking it on the subway or the buses, etc. Then you're going to have less risk of getting everything dirty with all the oil from a chain. I mean, this is probably still going to get dirty, but not the same way a chain will with all the oil. So it's got a simpler drivetrain, and this carbon belt drive is really good because they claim that 20 to 30,000 kilometers of maintenance-free driving. So that's pretty cool. But this is also a big cost. So this is something that contributes to the high cost of this bike at €12.99 here. So in some way, it would have been cool to see it cheaper with a cheaper variant with the chain. But yeah, this is what we got. We've got the belt drive here, and the belt drive is pretty cool both for reliability and also less mess when we're moving around. The thing is a bit of a downside that we don't have any gears at all, because it is going to make it a little bit difficult to get some good start and top speed pedaling going on. We're going to mainly rely on that hub motor to get us around. The build, well, we've got an aluminium frame, so that's another reason, because they wanted to go lightweight here, so aluminium frame. We also got a particularly built frame for the belt drive to be able to slot in here. So I like the way this folding mechanism is here, because it's made in a way that it's not too bulky. Some of them have like very awkward designs, but this is just fold down the handlebar, slot in the seat post, and then just fold it directly here in the middle, and that's it. You don't have anything to worry about. I think it becomes pretty smooth design here when you've folded it, and you can also roll it around. If you hold it like here, move it up a little bit, you can roll it then on the wheels. That's also good. You can just pull it around by rolling it as like a trolley when you're going around in the city or in the shops, for example. So I think that this is a pretty compact and also practical way of folding, because this is a low weight electric bike, 16 kilos. So I think it's very good that they added the folding here. Some bikes, I feel like the folding is not really doing much, just a way to easier transportation in a car. Otherwise, it just really adds another point of weakness to the electric bike. But in this case, I think that the low weight is going to really be a benefit here, because it's going to add to the portability of this bike. Because I think it's realistically a good bike you can have because of the weight on a subway or the bus. When it comes to the tires here, we've got 1.95 inch by 20-inch tires. I think that's a very good width, because it's got decent width, 1.95 inches, which is going to give you some decent shock absorption in, say, cobblestone, etc. And then the small wheels, because of the folding, just to make everything more compact. So I think it's a good width, because I appreciate the really thin tires. Both going to be easier to ride and also lighter, but it's going to be really a hassle when you're then going on small bumps. But then at the same time, the really wide tires are going to be really comfortable but very bulky. Here I think they went for a good middle ground with going with the slick 1.95 inch tires, which is still wide enough to absorb some of the bumps, but still got some good rolling resistance. And just the slick design, I think, is very useful for the city where you're going on tarmac. Don't need to have all that knobby stuff. You're not going to go off-road with this thing. Seat could be perhaps more comfortable, but at the same time, thin seat is good for compactness of this bike, to make it like the whole experience of having a really compact folding bike. When it comes to the fork, well, we've not got any shock absorbers, which could maybe make the rider more comfortable if we had a shock absorber. But I think in this situation, it's very good that they didn't go for a shock absorber, because both less maintenance, less risk of that breaking, and also a lot less weight. Shock absorbers, front forks take a lot of weight. This is something that's going to assist here, keeping the bike light. So I think it's very smart that they went for that. I do not like how they doesn't come with mudguards. You have them as an add-on thing. They're very silly, I think. Very, very silly. I think that should be a given when it comes to city bikes. So I really think that's very disappointing that they did not have any included mudguards. Rear rack as well. I think that should be not they should have had some kind of rear rack included with it. It didn't have to be the fanciest one, just some piece of metal here so you can put some bag or something on this. I think that's silly of them. Or it should have at least been something that you can get, that you can easily add on or not, because it does save weight. But I think at least mudguards should be something that we should have. See here, I got the mudguards here, which are pretty good, but like €199 for this. I think that's a bit silly, but it is at least compatible for a rear rack, so that's good. Lights, we've got front and rear powered lights. Is good. Got safe lights. That's very nice to have. Even though this bike here doesn't have a bell on the handlebar, it does actually come with a basic bell, so it does come with something. In terms of kickstand, love that it's got that rear kickstand there. It looks also quite small, so you're not having to have something really bulky here. However, in the middle, it becomes a lot harder, I find, to roll it around without the kickstand coming into contact with the pedals. But I like the perfect kickstand placement here. I like that, and also a small one, so it's not too bulky. And also we've got different colors. See here in grey. I really like this grey, and then we've also got the beige as well, which is pretty cool to see as well. I personally like the grey one the most. And these handlebars, I like these handlebars. They're small, compact, awesome choice for this type of bike here. They're not foldable, and in some ways maybe you could have a more portable bike with foldable handlebars, but I like the rigidity of having the handlebars that are not folding. Edo, as far as I know, is quite a relatively reliable company, but it's not like a really big brand out there. So it's like an intermediate brand in terms of reliability, in my experience. So it's all right. I would think this is not something you're going to get scammed for by buying this, at least. It's not like a random drop-shipped brand. So who is this for? This is for someone who wants to take their bike on the bus, on the train primarily, because I think it's still a little bit too big to take on the bus, but on the train definitely. And someone who wants to have something lightweight that they can maybe take into their office and charge maybe in their office around town. Not really big commuting style for across the countryside, etc. I think this is just for in the cities. And I think that this is a very expensive bike for like just a little tiny battery that you get with this. But at the same time, you do get quite a bit of stuff with like a belt drive, very lightweight bike, hydraulic disc brake. So I do think that the price does explain the bike itself. I think that they could have perhaps ditched the belt drive and gone with a chain, and that would have made the bike a lot cheaper. But it is nice to have a more reliable drivetrain here. But definitely could have been a bit cheaper and have a regular chain instead. Is it worth the price? Yeah, I think it's worth the price. I think it is not overpriced though. It is like a relatively expensive for what you get in terms of the electronic components. Like you're getting just a basic hub motor and a 9.6 amp hour battery, but for what you're getting, like with the belt drive and lightweight, I think it is worth it that way. Should you buy it? Yeah, well, if you're in the city, in the middle of the city, wanting to go around to some place really quickly, easy to fold up into your office, or if you want to take it into your apartment, I think this is good over a regular full-size bike. It's going to maybe be a bit bulkier, a bit harder to put into your apartment or into your cell if you've got limited space here, or if you want to take it with you into the train especially. I think this will be a lot easier. Would I take this over an electric scooter? Debatable. I think an electric scooter might be a little bit more foldable and portable than this, so I might actually go for an electric scooter over this. But the benefit here is that with, say, this bike, you're able to then pedal and get quote-unquote unlimited range if your battery runs out. So that's a really big benefit of the electric bike here. Not as easy to fold then as an electric scooter, but still pretty easily foldable into a very compact style. So that's very good. So would I buy it? Yeah, I would buy it if I were to live in the city and not have any other mode of transportation that I would need to easily take onto the bus or onto the train or into my office. Personally, I just have a regular bike in the middle of the city that I just lock up in a cellar because my job has a cellar which I can easily lock it up in. So I don't really have so much need of this bike. But if, say, I were to live a little bit further away and I was using the train more often, then I would have possibly bought this bike here. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video. That's my review on the Ado Air 20 folding electric bike. If you did enjoy the video, please leave a like and subscribe. I'll catch you guys later.